Hi everyone, it's Paula. I know it's been a while since my last video, so I thought I'd update you all and kind of finish out my series since I'm finished with Harvoni. So what I decided to do with this video is I'm going to try to answer some questions that I have both seen on my video posts and also through Facebook postings and other internet research that I've done. So I'm going to try to hit a few of those for you too. If so, hopefully I'll answer all your questions. I'll start out a little bit by going back over my whole journey, I like to call it. So if you haven't seen my other videos, this will be new information. If you've watched all my other videos, you already know kind of what the deal is. I have, I believe, 4 now. This is the 4th one. Maybe it's the 5th one. I don't know. So anyway, first I'll talk about I got Hep C when I was around 12 years old. I got it from blood transfusion. That was before they screen blood for anything. So that's how I received it. I know I've seen several people who don't really know how they got it, and it's a blood-borne disease, so it could be many ways you could get it. I have found from research that it's not really sexually transmitted. That's very, very rare. So you think back on your history and figure out how you could have got it from a blood-borne somehow through blood, whether it was you got a transfusion when you were young before they screened, you might have been a drug addict and shared needles. You could have been a health worker and got pricked. I've met several people that happened to them, got pricked by a needle when they were taking drug products from an infected person and then got Hep C that way. So there's many ways you can get it. Really, I guess to me it's not that important anymore how you got it. The point is you have it and you have to get rid of it. So I eventually what happened with me in my journey was I got diagnosed when I was 12, and I would say about when I was 51 or 2, I started having really severe complications from the Hep C. Up until that point, really hadn't had much of anything, just being, how you are, tired all the time, and that sort of thing, but never anything really drastic. Well, I started having really drastic things like I had varices in my throat that they had to go in and tie off. That was signaled by I began puking up blood, and I'm not talking just a little blood in your vomit, but I mean my whole vomit was blood. I hope you're not eating your breakfast or your lunch or anything while I'm talking about this. That was my first kind of signal that things were getting serious. Then what happened after that? More varices, lots of internal in my stomach sort of thing. Finally, it kind of all capped off with my husband came home one day. Back up a little bit. I was also having liters of fluid drain from my stomach. That's a pretty good indication that your liver's getting really compromised if you have to go and they have to stick a big old needle in your stomach and drain off the fluid. I think at one point they were taking about 10 liters off of my stomach. So think of 10 liters of pop. That's how much they were taking. So I looked like I was pregnant most of the time. But really didn't affect me too much except for my balance. So I did fall a lot, things like that. Just giving you these kind of footnotes so that you know if something like that happens to you that it's starting to get serious and you need to pay attention. It might not ever happen to you. I don't know. Okay, just telling you this. So finally, what happened was my husband came home and came into the bedroom, and I was laying there and I was in a coma. It's called I'll try to pronounce it, encephalophagus something, having to do with, your liver, coma. And so I was in that for a week. I lost about a whole week of my life, to wherever your mind and goes when you're in that sort of position. I don't know because I don't remember. But so anyway, long story short, over the course of all of that, I got a liver transplant. Um, I was probably about 2 days away from being dead. To be honest with you, I was really, really sick. Um, but the good news is, I want to tell you that if you ever do get that really, really sick, it's again, your mind goes somewhere and you're not really aware of what's going on. So, it's nothing really to fear because you won't feel pain or anything like that, okay? So sorry to get so morbid on you. So anyway, had a liver transplant, and it was a wonderful thing, and made me very healthy. And I'm really thankful to my donor and his family. I know who they are, and I've actually met them and stayed with them, and we love each other desperately, and it helps them to cope too. So that's a really long story that I can tell you at another date. Okay, so back to what happened. So just because I had a liver transplant doesn't mean that I'm home free, because since hepatitis is a blood-borne disease, it stays in your blood, right? So I had a liver transplant, which then took out my old awful liver and put a new one in, but always when you have hep C or any sort of there's other diseases that continually destroy your liver, you have to worry that that's going to happen again to your new liver. So while I certainly tried not to think about that, that was always the big thing hanging over my head was that could happen again. Well, then hence here came Harvoni. I had tried many other treatments, actually twice, their usual protocol, which many of you have been on and you've told me about it. And it's awful. Previous was interferon, then they put interferon with ribavirin. Then they did, I think, PEG interferon, which is just interferon that's released slowly over time, so you're not all sick right at once. They're just awful. And when I went through my second treatment and nothing ever happened, I just said, until you guys come up with something better, I'm not going to do this anymore. So I was a little skeptical when they talked to me about Harvoni. But I finally said, okay, because I researched it some and found that they were having really, really good results and that the side effects were minimal. So I said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'll do this because anything to get rid of this dragon. So my treatment was 12 weeks long. My doctors tested before I started the whole thing to find out they I don't know exactly what they call it now. I call it a viral load, but they test how much of the hepatitis C is in your blood. And generally, most people tend to be, from what I understand, a really small level is about 1 million per units, which is, I guess, how they classify it, up to, I've heard people in the 600 millions per unit. That's really high. So my first test was right before I started, and my viral load was, I had 3 million units of hepatitis C in my blood. However they test that. I don't know. I'm not a chemist or anything. So I had 3 million when I started. So I began the treatment, and it was, nothing like previous treatments. I'll just tell you that. It was really quite simple for quite a while for me. But my treatment was, they did Harvoni plus ribavirin. Now, they did that because their tests have shown them, when they did all the testing previously on people, they found that when they did ribavirin with it, it tended to work better. I don't know what their thinking was. But so I was on ribavirin. And that by itself, it's just a sucky drug. I hate it. And what happened with me was, each week when they would test my blood, my red blood cell count would continue to go down. So along the way, I kept having to have transfusions. And so that was fun, mainly because I live out in the middle of nowhere. So in order for me to get a blood transfusion, it's not like I can go down to the corner hospital to get a blood transfusion. I have to drive 60 miles away to the infusion center, and it's an all-day thing. So, it wasn't fun. So I was having those probably about every couple weeks, and I think total I had 8 transfusions till it was the 8th week, and they said, okay, I think we'll take you off ribavirin and just let you do the Harvoni by itself. Yay! I was so happy when they said that. I was willing to go with it the whole time, but they decided that it wasn't worth the strain on my body because by the 8th week, I had virtually no energy, no blood, nothing. It was bad. But not as bad as the interferon ribavirin. I just got to keep saying that, okay? So the next, the 4 weeks before I was finished with treatment were, pretty much okay. And I was fine. So now what I'll talk about is the side effects that I had during the treatment and the testing that my doctors did during the whole thing. So you can use that as a gauge for, whatever, when you're dealing with your doctor, whatever. I'll just tell you what mine are. And I started out, I'll tell you, they watch me pretty carefully because I am a transplant patient. If you're not a transplant patient and maybe you just have Hep C with no scarring, they probably aren't going to watch you quite as closely as me. So I'll just say that at the start of this. They tested me, of course, right before I started. They tested me at 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and 12 weeks. Okay? By the 4th week, they tested my viral load, and it went from 3 million to 30. Okay? I felt that was really, a lot of people at 4 weeks are undetected. I was not totally undetected, but it made me feel really positive that things were going in the right direction because previous results on previous, when I'd done interferon, nothing ever moved 1 iota. Okay, so to me, going down to 30 was like jubilation. At the 6 weeks, I was undetected. 8 weeks, undetected. 12 weeks, undetected. Okay, so that's how they tested me. They might, I've heard people get tests at the beginning and then at the end. That's all their doctor wants to do. So, every doctor's different, and so you can ask for those tests, and certainly they're going to have to, do what you want. So if you want to see where your viral load is midway, then say, I want that test. Darn it. Okay. Side effects. I think the worst side effect for me personally was that I was incredibly irritable. Just a raging bitch most of the time. Could have been because I had no blood in my system either. My red blood cell count at one point, I think at the lowest, it was like at 5. Most people end up having, heart attacks and pass out and stuff like that. But, my incredible body adapted to it. But I did feel really tired all the time, and but mainly I was irritable. Me personally, I just used that to my advantage, and as I said in another video once, I got a whole bunch of free stuff from Dish Network because I went in one day and just tore them a new one, so if you want to get things out in your life while you're on this and have a perfect excuse for it, go right ahead and bitch your head off. But you will be irritable because I don't think there's been hardly anyone I have talked to or heard from on Facebook that wasn't irritable. So just, check that one off right away because it'll happen. I was also tired, obviously, for the reasons that I had no blood. You might be tired. You might not. Depending on if you've got ribavirin with it, you probably will be tired. If you're just taking Harvoni, chances are you might just be a little tired. I know a lot of people worked through it. worked with Harvoni. So, you know, whatever happens, you know, you might be tired, you might not. Okay. Um, me personally, gained a little weight, about 5 pounds, which is the exact opposite of previous treatments where I lost like 30 pounds because couldn't eat, stuff like that. So I gained a little weight. So that might happen to you. It might not. You know, just letting you know that that could happen. Um, but those were really the big ones for me. I was a bitch. um, I was tired all the time. Oh, forgot one. We call it Harvoni head. That means you're either foggy, or, you know, you see somebody that you see on a daily basis and you say, hi, what the hell's their name? You know, that's Harvoni head. Just a general, like your brain is slogging through mud. That's pretty common. So be gentle with yourself on that one, because it goes away probably right afterwards. So those were my biggest side effects. You might have different ones. You might not have any. It all depends on you and your body. I will just say, you know, it's going to work how it works. I just want you to remember that your body is an incredible thing, and it can heal itself of so many things. So I want you to remember that while you feel crappy, your body is healing itself. Okay. Um, the good news is at 12 weeks, I was undetected. Okay. I was undetected after 43 years of having hepatitis C. I was undetected. I had 3-month testing. I'm still undetected. So according to their structure of the treatment and things, I am now considered what they call a cure. I am cured of Hep C. So that to me is just a wonderfully incredible thing, and it's something I never thought I would live to see. I didn't think I'd ever live to see this. And so it's a great thing. Uh, the one thing they say when you are cured, that you really shouldn't donate blood because you still have what they call antibodies. But everything else, it won't be destroying your liver anymore. You won't be feeling tired. So that's the really good news. Some people have talked about, well, what happens if I'm not cured? Well, I haven't heard that a lot. Maybe I think a couple of people on various Facebook postings have said they either were undetected and then it came back. And I'll just say it doesn't happen very often, but if it does to you, there are like numerous new drugs coming down the pike. Some people can't take Harvoni because it's not for your genotype. I'll tell you, I've heard there are several coming out now for different genotypes, and those probably will cure you. Harvoni was created for the worst and the strongest genotype. So the other ones I think were probably a lot, I don't know if I want to say easier to cure, but they thought they would get the hardest and strongest one first. So that's why Harvoni was developed. And so now the other genotypes will be standing in line. I've heard the 1st of January there's a whole slew of them coming out. So that's good news for you if you haven't been able to be treated with Harvoni because it's not your genotype. The last month that I was on it was probably the easiest, and that could be because I was off ribavirin. So I don't know what your journey's like and what your treatment's like, but for whatever it's worth, I guess the best thing is to, no matter what, just keep keeping on. Because there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You're almost up the hill. You're at the top of the mountain. and you're going to see the valley soon. Um, and you just have to keep remembering this. I've heard people, if you're a worrier, you're going to be, oh, what if I'm not cured? What if this? What if that? I'm just begging you not to go there, okay? Just think that you are taking a wonderful new drug that's going to cure you. It's not poison. It's not bad for you. It is a miracle. And every day when you take that Harvoni, you say to yourself, this is a miracle, because that's what it is. And it will lead you into a better life and a place where you can feel strong and don't have to face the everyday knowing that you've got some disease that's going to kill you, because it's not going to kill you anymore. Okay? If you have any questions that I haven't answered, I've tried to cover most of them now. Please feel free to comment below. I thank all of you for subscribing and asking questions. I feel so close to you, and I don't really know any of you. You've been very kind to me, and I want to thank you for that. I don't even have any haters. I think that's wonderful. I'm just happy you're all here, and I'm happy to be part of your fight. I'm honored that you chose to watch my videos. It means the world to me. We can do this together, and I want you to keep on keeping on and know that soon everything's going to be all right, and you're going to be strong and healthy again. So I'll just say goodbye, and I'll see you soon. And you never know what I'm going to come up with for my next series. Could be about my liver transplant. I don't know. We'll see, okay? Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.